Have you ever wondered why certain moments can instantly transport you back to feeling like a small, vulnerable child? Why do some conversations leave you feeling powerless, even when you're a capable adult? What if I told you that deep within your soul lives a precious little being who has been waiting patiently for the one thing they've never received enough of? Your loving arms wrapped around them, your gentle voice telling them they're safe, and your fierce protection of their tender heart. There's a sacred chamber in the cathedral of your heart where a little one has been sitting quietly in the corner, knees drawn up to their chest, waiting for someone to notice they're there. This precious child holds their breath when footsteps approach, hoping this time someone will see their tears, scoop them up in loving arms, and whisper the words they've been longing to hear. You are safe now. You are loved. I will never let anyone hurt you again. They have watched you search the world for comfort, for safety, for the kind of love that makes everything okay, never knowing that what you seek has been waiting right there in your own heart. I am Harmony Zeba, and I've discovered that healing doesn't come from understanding your wounds or analyzing your past. It comes from finally giving your inner child what they've always needed: your unconditional love, your protective embrace, and the absolute safety of knowing they will never be abandoned again. I know why you're here. That ache in your chest, that feeling of being alone even when surrounded by people, isn't evidence that you're broken. It's your inner child crying out for the love, hugs, and protection they've been waiting their whole life to receive. For the next 20 minutes, we're going to explore something that will fundamentally transform your relationship with yourself forever. This isn't about becoming a better person or fixing what's wrong with you. This is about finally becoming the loving parent your inner child has been waiting for. The one who sees their tears and doesn't turn away, who holds them when they're scared, who protects them from a world that sometimes feels too harsh for such a tender heart. Here's something that will change everything about how you understand that little voice inside your heart. When researchers at Harvard Medical School studied childhood attachment patterns, they discovered that children who received consistent physical comfort, emotional validation, and protective care developed neural pathways for self-soothing and emotional regulation that lasted their entire lives. But here's what breaks my heart. Those who didn't receive this tender care continue searching for it in every relationship, every achievement, every attempt to prove their worth. Your inner child isn't wounded because something terrible happened to them. Often, they're hurting because of what didn't happen. The hugs that were rationed, the comfort that came with conditions, the protection that required them to earn it through good behavior. They learned to make themselves small, to need less, to comfort themselves when no comfort came. But today, that changes. Today, you become the loving parent your inner child has been waiting for. I know the specific ways your inner child has been trying to get your attention because I've lived this experience myself. You catch yourself seeking approval from people who couldn't possibly give you what you truly need. You find yourself in relationships where you're always the one giving, always the one understanding, always the one making excuses for others' inability to show up for you the way your heart craves. You replay conversations in your mind, wondering if you said something wrong, if you were too much, if you somehow pushed someone away by simply being yourself. You apologize excessively for things that aren't your fault, because somewhere inside, that little child learned that when people were upset, it must be because they weren't good enough. You find yourself achieving and striving and pushing yourself to be better, hoping that if you just accomplish enough, prove yourself enough, maybe then you'll finally feel worthy of the love and recognition you've been craving since you were small. But no amount of external validation can fill the void left by an inner child who never felt truly seen, truly safe, truly cherished for exactly who they are. Perhaps most painfully, you've learned to parent yourself the way you were parented, with criticism instead of compassion, with demands for perfection instead of acceptance of your humanity, with the withholding of love until you've earned it through good behavior. You've become your own harsh critic because that felt safer than risking disappointment from yet another person who might leave. Close your eyes for a moment and place both hands over your heart. Feel the steady rhythm that has carried this precious child through every moment of their existence. This heartbeat began before you took your first breath, and it will continue until you take your last. It has been faithfully serving you, loving you, keeping you alive every second of every day without you ever having to earn it or deserve it. Now, imagine walking into that sacred chamber where your inner child has been waiting. See them there, maybe 3 years old, maybe 7, maybe the age when you first remember feeling alone or afraid. Don't try to fix them or heal them or understand what happened. Simply sit down beside them and say the words they've been longing to hear. I see you, precious one. I'm here now, and I'm never leaving you again. Notice how they respond. Maybe they're hesitant at first, having been disappointed before. Maybe they're so hungry for love that they immediately reach for you. Maybe they're angry that it took you so long to come. Whatever their response, meet it with infinite patience and tenderness. This little one has been protecting themselves the only way they knew how. Place your hand on your heart and speak this truth. I am the loving presence you've been waiting for. Feel these words reaching that tender part of your soul. You are not trying to become worthy of love. You are love, offering itself to the part of you that forgot they deserved it. When you speak this affirmation to your inner child, you're not just saying words. You're activating neural pathways that create the safety and attachment your nervous system has been craving for decades. Now, here's the most important part. Your inner child doesn't just need to hear loving words. They need to feel them in your body. Wrap your arms around yourself right now. Not quickly, not self-consciously, but the way you would hold a frightened child who finally felt safe enough to let someone close. Feel the warmth of your own embrace, the security of your own loving arms. Hold yourself like this and say out loud, you don't have to be afraid anymore. I've got you. You're safe in my arms. Feel how your nervous system responds to this physical comfort. Research from the University of California shows that self-embracing releases the same oxytocin and endorphins as being held by someone who loves you unconditionally. Your body cannot tell the difference between receiving love and giving love. It simply responds to the frequency of tenderness. Your inner child needs 3 fundamental promises to feel truly safe and loved. These aren't just words, they're sacred vows that transform your relationship with yourself forever. The first promise is unconditional love. Look into the eyes of your inner child and make this vow. I love you exactly as you are. Not who you might become, not when you're good enough or healed enough. I love you right now in this moment, with all your fears and tears and beautiful, tender heart. Place your hands over your heart and speak this soul truth. I am worthy of my own unconditional love. Feel these words landing in the deepest chambers of your heart. Your inner child needs to know that love isn't something they have to earn through perfection or performance. It's their birthright, as natural as breathing, as constant as your heartbeat. The second promise is protection. Your inner child has been scanning for danger their whole life, wondering who will keep them safe when the world feels too harsh. Look at them now and say, I will protect you when people are mean, when life feels scary, when you don't know what to do, I will stand between you and anything that tries to hurt you. You never have to face anything alone again. Feel the strength in your own body as you make this promise. You are not the helpless child anymore. You are the powerful adult who can create boundaries, make choices, and say no to anything that threatens your inner child's well-being. You can choose who gets access to your tender heart. You can remove yourself from situations that feel unsafe. You can speak up when someone treats you with less respect than you deserve. The third promise might be the most important of all, the promise of permanent presence. So many of us learned early that love was conditional, that care could be withdrawn if we weren't good enough. Your inner child needs to know this will never happen again. Place both hands on your chest and say, I promise I will never abandon you again. When you're scared, I'll hold you. When you're sad, I'll comfort you. When you're angry, I'll listen. When you're joyful, I'll celebrate with you. I am here for all of it, and I'm never leaving. Feel the profound relief that washes through your system as you make this promise. For perhaps the first time in your life, your inner child knows they have someone who will never leave, never judge, never withdraw their love based on behavior or performance. They have finally found home in your own loving arms. Speak this final soul affirmation. I am home in the wholeness of my soul. This tells your inner child the most important truth. They don't need to search anymore. Home isn't a place. It's the love you give yourself. It's the soul connection you've rekindled with the precious being who has been waiting so patiently for you to come back. Your inner child doesn't need grand gestures. They need consistent daily love. Every morning, place your hand on your heart and ask, how are you feeling today, little one? Listen for their response. Maybe they're excited about something coming up. Maybe they're nervous about a challenge ahead. Maybe they just want to be held for a moment before the day begins. Honor whatever they share without trying to fix or change their feelings. When life gets overwhelming, remember that your inner child is experiencing it too. That presentation that has you anxious, that relationship conflict that's causing stress, that financial worry that keeps you up at night, your inner child feels all of it and needs your comfort. Stop what you're doing, wrap your arms around yourself and say, I know this is hard, precious one. We are going to get through this together. Give yourself the comfort you would give any frightened child. Throughout your day, check in with your inner child the way you would with any beloved person in your care. When you're making decisions, consider their needs alongside your adult responsibilities. What environments make them feel safe? What activities bring them joy? What relationships nourish their spirit versus drain their energy? Begin making choices that honor this tender part of yourself instead of constantly overriding their needs for the sake of productivity or other people's expectations. When someone treats you poorly, imagine your inner child standing behind you. What would you say to protect them? How would you respond if someone spoke to a precious child the way they just spoke to you? Let your fierce protective love for your inner child give you the courage to set boundaries and demand the respect you deserve. Before bed each night, create a sacred ritual of tucking your inner child in with love. Tell them what they did well that day, not what they accomplished, but how they showed up. Maybe they were brave when they felt scared. Maybe they were kind when someone was difficult. Maybe they just kept going when everything felt hard. Acknowledge their emotional courage, their tender heart, their willingness to keep trusting despite past hurts. Hold yourself gently as you would rock a sleepy child. Say, you are so loved, little one. Tomorrow we'll face whatever comes together, but right now, you're safe in my arms. Rest your precious heart. Feel how your nervous system relaxes into this tender care. how your whole being softens into the safety of your own loving presence. The transformation that happens when you begin relating to yourself this way is nothing short of miraculous. You stop seeking validation from people who cannot possibly give you what you need, because you found the source of love within your own heart. You stop tolerating relationships and situations that drain your energy because you're too protective of your inner child to allow them to be mistreated. You begin making decisions from love instead of fear, from self-respect instead of self-sacrifice, from worthiness instead of the desperate need to prove your value. Your inner child becomes your greatest guide to authentic living because they know instinctively what feels good and what feels harmful, what nourishes your soul and what depletes your spirit. When old patterns of self-criticism arise, you'll catch yourself and gently intervene. I don't speak to my inner child that way anymore. When someone tries to manipulate you through guilt or shame, your protective instincts will kick in. I don't allow anyone to treat my inner child like that. When opportunities arise that your adult mind thinks you should want, but your inner child feels resistant about, you'll trust their wisdom. If it doesn't feel good to my inner child, it's not right for me. Your inner child has been waiting their entire life for you to come home to them. Today, you've become the loving adult they always needed, the safe harbor they can finally trust, the loving arms they can rest in, the fierce protector who will never let them face the world alone again. You are no longer searching for someone to save you because you've discovered you are your own rescue. When you cherish your inner child this way, you don't just heal your past, you transform your future. Every hug you give yourself rewrites their story of abandonment. Every gentle word you speak to yourself heals their wounds of criticism. Every time you choose to protect their tender heart, you prove that they are worthy of love and care. This isn't selfish or self-indulgent. It's the most necessary and sacred work you can do. When you heal your relationship with your inner child, you break generational patterns of emotional neglect. You model for others what it looks like to treat yourself with tenderness and respect. You contribute to the healing of our world by becoming the change you wish to see. Tomorrow, when that familiar feeling of being alone or unloved arises, you'll remember this moment. You'll remember the feeling of your own loving arms around you. You'll remember that you are never alone because the most loving person you could ever meet lives right inside your own heart. You'll remember that you don't need to earn love or prove your worth because you've finally given yourself the unconditional acceptance you've always craved. If your soul stirred during our time together, if you felt that inner child awakening to the love they've always deserved, then you belong in this community of sacred healing. Subscribe for more conversations about coming home to yourself, and share this with someone whose inner child needs to remember they are cherished beyond measure. Your inner child isn't broken and doesn't need fixing. They just needed love, hugs, and protection, and now they have the most qualified person in the world to give them exactly what they need: you. You are their loving parent, their safe harbor, their home, and they are finally, truly at peace in your caring arms. Remember, you are not alone. You have never been alone. And your inner child is finally, truly home where they belong, in the infinite love of your own beautiful heart. If your soul stirred during our time together, if you felt that inner child awakening to the love they've always deserved, then you belong in this community of sacred healing. Subscribe to Mindful Planes for more conversations about coming home to yourself, and ring that notification bell so you never miss the gentle guidance your soul is seeking. Share this with someone whose inner child needs to remember they are cherished beyond measure, because when we heal ourselves, we contribute to the healing of our entire human family.